Brother, let me be blunt, everything you thought you knew about women is a lie. You've been trained to believe that kindness, patience, and loyalty are the keys to attraction. You've been sold the idea that if you just listen more, reassure more, and prove yourself more, she'll love you, she'll commit, she'll stay. But here's the bitter twist. In reality, those exact traits are often the trigger for her tests. I've seen it countless times, my friend. A high-value man shows up calm, confident, consistent, and suddenly, the woman he trusted pulls away. She teases, she withholds, she challenges, and most men, thinking they're doing the right thing, panic. They over-explain, they rationalize, they beg for reassurance, and with every flinch, every visible crack in composure, they confirm what she was subconsciously measuring all along: weakness. This is the betrayal not by her, but by your own misunderstanding of the game. You expect love to be linear, fair, logical. You expect your loyalty to be rewarded with gratitude, your calm to be recognized as strength. But the truth is harsher, more ancient, and far more biological. Her tests aren't personal attacks. They're survival checks, wired deep into her DNA long before society or therapy manuals tried to rewrite the rules. Imagine this. You're sitting across from her, trying to impress, trying to soothe, trying to fix the tension she's created. And in that moment, every neuron in her brain is scanning for your stability, your emotional consistency. Your desire to explain yourself, to justify, to chase. It's like a flashing neon sign screaming, fragile, panic-prone, low value. I've seen men withstanding battles, negotiating million-dollar deals, surviving chaotic environments, and crumble over a simple glance, a teasing remark, a moment of silence from the woman they love. It's the ultimate betrayal. Your environment can handle storms, your friends can handle chaos, but her subtle, almost invisible micro-tests? Most men fail. Every time. Here's the core truth nobody wants to admit. Love is not the test. Your nervous system is. Every overreaction, every hesitation, every flicker of doubt is logged in her subconscious as evidence of your emotional fragility. And once that evidence accumulates, desire collapses quietly, not with fireworks, not with drama, but in the subtle erosion of respect, attraction, and dominance. The betrayal is that men enter this arena blind, armed with logic, words, and good intentions, while the rules have always been written in the language of biology, ancient programming, and emotional chemistry. She isn't being cruel. She's not testing to punish. She's testing to survive, to feel safe, to filter out those who will break under pressure. And my friend, every time you react wrong, you hand her the confirmation she's looking for. So ask yourself, in your relationships, are you the man who passes the test, or the man whose betrayal is simply failing to see the battlefield in the first place? Because until you understand that the game is emotional, not logical, you're already behind. Brother, what I'm about to tell you isn't popular. It isn't polite. Society will cringe at it. Therapists will deny it. And modern narratives of empowerment will try to sugarcoat it. But the truth is hardwired, ancient, unyielding, and utterly indifferent to your feelings. Women test because their biology demands it. Think of it like this. Long before skyscrapers, dating apps, and influencer culture, women had to survive, and more importantly, ensure their offspring survived. Every man she allowed close was a potential protector or a potential threat. Every micro-expression, every slight hesitation, every subtle shift in tone was data. Her subconscious brain, finely tuned by millions of years of evolution, constantly evaluated whether you were safe, stable, and capable. This isn't manipulation, it's a biological imperative. The amygdala, the limbic system, the neurological pathways for fear and safety, they evolved to scan male behavior for signs of unreliability, panic, and weakness. A sudden outburst, a pleading tone, even a flicker of insecurity triggers dopamine and cortisol shifts in her brain. Her body is literally measuring your emotional chemistry against her survival criteria. Let me break it down further. Every woman carries what I call an ancient programming loop. She feels uncertainty. She seeks validation. She tests men to calibrate stability. It's not a conscious choice. She isn't sitting there plotting. Her subconscious creates scenarios that elicit your real reaction. And here's the kicker. Her reward system, driven by dopamine spikes, doesn't just notice calmness, it craves it. Case in point, I once observed a man, my friend, high value in every conventional sense, career, physique, intellect. Yet when his partner pulled a classic withdrawal, a quiet cold shoulder, he panicked, tried to explain himself, tried to reason, tried to prove his worth. And she, unknowingly following her biological script, lost attraction. His failure wasn't inaction, and it wasn't lack of love. It was emotional inconsistency, a signal her ancient programming interpreted as danger. Brother, this is the unspoken war zone. All women, regardless of culture, social class, or ideology, carry this biological mechanism. Their testing isn't a game, a manipulation tactic, or a reflection of your inadequacy in modern terms. It's an evolutionary filter. It's a neural safeguard against instability. And until you accept that, you'll keep failing silently, wondering why your loyalty and good intentions aren't enough. Here's the harsh contrast. While most men react with panic, oversharing, or aggression, the men who pass these tests don't need to convince. They don't need to negotiate. They embody calmness, unshakable under subtle stress. Their nervous system says what words cannot. They survive her subconscious probe not by reasoning, not by pleading, not by arguing, but by being steady, unmoved, reliable. So here's the bitter pill. This is the battlefield you didn't know you were on. Her mind isn't hostile, it's protective. But your mind, untrained and reactive, will betray you every single time. The test isn't against you, it's inside you. And until you understand that, my friend, the illusion of fairness in relationships will continue to deceive you. Brother, now that you understand the biological truth, it's time to see the battlefield with clarity. This is where most men completely miss the map. They think testing is about words, or logic, or trying harder. They're wrong. The mechanism is neurological, emotional, chemical, and brutally efficient. When a woman tests, her brain is firing on multiple layers at once. The amygdala detects uncertainty. Her limbic system triggers a subtle stress response. Dopamine, the reward chemical, spikes when she observes stability, and cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes when she senses panic. Every glance, every pause, every micro-expression is a probe. And here's the critical part. She is not aware she's doing this consciously. Her brain is running an algorithm refined over millions of years, measuring the emotional reliability of every man in her orbit. Let me break it down in plain terms for you, my friend. Imagine her testing as a storm. Your reaction, calm, reactive, aggressive, pleading, is the flag in that storm. Your emotional system signals to her subconscious, are you safe or are you a threat? The more calm and regulated your nervous system remains, the more she subconsciously registers dominance, reliability, value. The second you flinch, overreact, or chase validation, you set off internal alarms in her mind. Low value, unstable, untrustworthy. Case study. I once observed a man in a long-term relationship. She suddenly withdrew attention, stopped texting back, and gave cold, clipped responses in conversation. Most men would panic, start calling, explaining, pleading. Not him. He stayed calm, focused on his work, let the silence exist. Within 48 hours she returned, warmer than before, subconsciously rewarding his unshakable composure. Her dopamine circuits had recognized him as high value, a stable anchor in the storm of her emotional uncertainty. Here's the neurological kicker. Mirror neurons amplify everything. She mirrors your emotional state without realizing it. If you panic, she feels unease. If you over-explain, her brain subconsciously interprets you as weak. If you remain calm, composed, grounded, her brain experiences a subtle reward: safety, security, attraction. Your behavior literally rewires her neural pathways in real time. The mechanism is relentless, unforgiving, and invisible. And yet most men react as if words could fix it, as if explanations could override biology. They try to argue, to reason, to negotiate, and with every failed attempt, they confirm weakness. It's a silent, invisible casualty list, brother. Every man who flinches under these microtests is quietly losing respect, dominance, and attraction before he even realizes it. This is why understanding the mechanism is crucial. It's not about manipulation. It's not about tricks or tactics. It's about mastering your own internal system so that her tests can no longer destabilize you. Once you recognize that the battlefield is your nervous system, not your words, you start to see the invisible war that's been raging around you since day one. Remember this: her testing is not a personal attack. It's a probe, a neurological check, a survival algorithm designed to measure your emotional center. And until you control your center, brother, you will continue to fail quietly, invisibly, destructively. Brother, now that you understand the battlefield and the mechanism, it's time to recognize the signals, the subtle cues that she's running tests on you. Most men miss these entirely, thinking everything is normal until it's too late. This chapter is your map, the warning signs you cannot ignore. Sudden withdrawal. She stops texting, pulls back emotionally, or becomes unusually quiet. Most men panic. They interpret silence as disinterest, betrayal, or a personal attack. But in reality, she's watching you. She wants to see if you crumble without constant reassurance. Your nervous system, not your words, is being evaluated. Provoking jealousy. A glance at another man, a story about her male friends, subtle flirting with attention elsewhere. These aren't games of cruelty, they're probes. She's testing your stability under perceived competition. Panic, aggression, or overreaction confirms low value. Calm, detached observation signals dominance. Public contradiction or teasing. She may question you in front of friends, mock a decision, or deliberately misinterpret your words. Brother, this isn't disrespect. It's a neurological stress test designed to see if you maintain composure under social scrutiny. Every flinch, over-explanation, or defensiveness is logged as weakness. Emotional cold, hot cycles. She alternates warmth and distance unpredictably. One moment attentive, the next aloof. This isn't manipulation, it's her brain calibrating your emotional consistency. The men who panic, chase, or overcompensate fail the test. The men who stay steady pass it silently, invisibly, every time. Testing your boundaries. She subtly challenges your values, decisions, or priorities. She might push for favors, ask for reassurance about your commitments, or create small conflicts to measure reaction. This is the final frontier of emotional dominance testing. If you bend under pressure, she unconsciously marks you as unreliable. Case study. I've seen a man, highly accomplished, emotionally mature, completely unaware of these signals. His girlfriend would withhold attention, mention other men in passing, and question his decisions publicly. Every time he reacted with panic or pleading, he lost ground. But once he understood the pattern, recognized it as testing, not manipulation, he simply observed, stayed grounded, and everything shifted. Attraction returned. Respect remained. The tests lost their power because he had mastered his own system. Brother, pay attention. These warning signs are subtle, but they are everywhere. Social media amplifies them, turning micro-tests into daily routines. Empowerment culture normalizes them. Female friends become dealers of emotional uncertainty, and men who flinch are quietly destroyed. The battlefield is all around you. Learn the signs, recognize the probes, and understand. It's not her words or intentions that matter. It's your reaction. Calmness is the signal. Panic is the casualty. Brother, now that you can see the battlefield and the warning signs, it's time to confront the bigger enemy, society itself. The truth nobody will tell you is that female testing didn't evolve in a vacuum. Modern culture, social media, and so-called empowerment have weaponized her biology against you. Think about it. Every swipe, every post, every influencer preaching self-worth and emotional validation is a subtle reinforcement of uncertainty. Women are bombarded with endless cues, comparing, judging, and calibrating their environment. What was once a natural survival mechanism has been amplified into a constant micro-testing factory. Social media is her laboratory, and men who react emotionally are the casualties. Therapy culture has its role too. Society tells men to explain, to negotiate, to verbalize every feeling. Meanwhile, women are told to assert themselves, trust their intuition, and seek empowerment. Combined, these forces create a perfect storm. Men overreact, women test more, and attraction quietly erodes. Look closer. Female friends often act as dealers of emotional chaos. They plant seeds of doubt, amplify fears, and provide validation loops that fuel her subconscious tests. I've seen countless relationships collapse not because of overt conflict, but because a circle of well-meaning friends injected instability into the man-woman dynamic. Every comment, every subtle suggestion, every shared story becomes data for her survival algorithm. Brother, this isn't just theory. I've witnessed high-value men, calm under pressure in the real world, crumble under the amplified, constant stress of modern life. A woman might test them via subtle social media posts, then confide in her friends about the reaction. By the time he realizes, the damage is done. Attraction is gone. Respect is gone. Yet society absolves her entirely, telling men they simply don't understand or aren't emotionally supportive enough. The bitter truth: modern culture trains women to test more and men to tolerate it. Empowerment, dopamine loops, social media validation, these aren't neutral. They are amplifiers of the ancient testing mechanism, creating a battlefield no man was prepared for. Every flinch, every panic, every attempt to explain or rationalize is captured by her subconscious and stored as evidence of low value. Here's the reality nobody wants to admit: the enemy isn't her, and it isn't you. It's the environment, a combination of modern corruption layered on top of ancient programming. And until you recognize it, brother, you will continue to fail silently, wondering why your loyalty, calmness, and effort aren't enough. The battlefield is bigger than the bedroom, the dinner table, or the phone conversation. It's cultural, societal, and neurological, a perfect storm designed to test your emotional center at every turn. And most men, unaware, are already losing before the first blow lands. Brother, you felt it, that quiet shift you can't explain. The texts slow down. The warmth fades without reason. She doesn't argue. She doesn't explain. She just drifts. And you replay everything in your mind, looking for what you did wrong. But you didn't do anything wrong. What you're feeling isn't rejection. It's her biology reading the cracks in your calm. Every silence is a scan. Every distance is data. She isn't leaving, she's measuring. And the moment you panic, she knows. Brother, now comes the part most men never see coming: the quiet destruction that follows failure. It doesn't happen with fireworks, arguments, or dramatic breakups. No, it happens silently, invisibly, in the erosion of attraction, respect, and emotional dominance. This is the inevitable collapse. When a man fails her tests, panics, over-explains, pleads, or chases, he sets off a chain reaction in her subconscious. Every flinch reinforces her perception of instability. Every plea confirms fragility. And her brain, hardwired to detect weakness, quietly disengages. Attraction evaporates. Respect diminishes. Desire dies slowly, almost imperceptibly, until the man finally realizes that the battle was lost long before he saw the signs. I've seen men who were pillars of strength in every aspect of life crumble under subtle emotional micro-assaults. Their careers, their friendships, even their physical presence couldn't protect them from the silent neurological evaluation running in her mind. The more they tried to correct, explain, or fix, the faster the collapse progressed. It's a cruel, invisible war, a war where the first casualty is your center. Consider the contrast between male and female aging curves, brother. Women, biologically, maintain leverage longer socially, emotionally, and sexually. Men, by contrast, see their value tied to consistency, dominance, and stability. Fail to meet those expectations early, and the erosion accelerates. The collapse isn't just emotional, it's structural. Respect crumbles, attraction dies, and the man is left scrambling to recover a battlefield that no longer exists. Case study: I once observed a long-term relationship between a high-value man and his partner. Subtle tests began months earlier: cold shoulders, teasing remarks, minor withdrawals. He reacted with over-explanations and attempts to soothe. Gradually, she withdrew further, her attraction diminishing quietly. By the time he recognized what was happening, the relationship was already in the final stages of collapse. The destruction wasn't dramatic. It was silent, but it was total. This is the harsh truth, brother. Testing is not a minor inconvenience. It is a neurological filter, a survival algorithm, and when failed repeatedly, it becomes a slow, inevitable decay. Men who react emotionally, who chase validation, who fail to embody steadiness, are quietly erased from the equation. Their loyalty, their intentions, their goodness meaningless against the silent logic of her biology. And here's the kicker. Most men don't even understand why it happened. They blame circumstance, society, or even themselves. But the truth is simpler, darker, and far more brutal. They failed the test before they knew it existed. The battlefield has claimed another casualty. The inevitable collapse isn't reversible through words or reasoning. It is a consequence of failing to maintain your emotional center, a failure that modern culture hides, therapy overlooks, and society refuses to acknowledge. Brother, it's time to face the reality that most men refuse to admit the truth so uncomfortable that society and even your friends will avoid it. Women don't test you because they want to hurt you. They don't test you to manipulate you. They test you because their biology, their ancient programming, and their subconscious survival algorithm demand it. Here's the bitter edge. Love is not enough. Loyalty is not enough. Kindness is not enough. Words are meaningless unless your nervous system demonstrates stability. Calmness, consistency, and emotional regulation are the currencies she unconsciously trades in. Fail to maintain them, and all the good intentions in the world evaporate in an instant. Every woman, regardless of culture, age, or social class, carries this mechanism. When she pulls away, teases, or subtly provokes, she is not being cruel. She is running an internal diagnostic on your reliability, and most men react with panic, over-explaining, or chasing. Every reaction confirms the fear she never voiced but always felt, that you are unstable, unreliable, low value. I've seen high-value men, confident in every arena of life, destroyed quietly in relationships because they didn't understand this. They poured effort, time, and love into explanations and justifications that her brain simply ignored. Emotional overreaction is the silent killer of attraction, the invisible decay of respect, the ultimate casualty in a battle they never realized they were fighting. You think she left because she stopped loving you, but she left long before that, the moment your energy stopped leading hers. Love didn't die with distance. It died when your calm cracked. Here's the core truth, my friend. If she stops testing, it isn't trust, it's indifference. If she reacts to your panic, it's not malice, it's data collection. If she leaves silently, it's not betrayal. It's biological certainty that you cannot provide the emotional center her brain craves. The bitter truth is that attraction is never rational. It is a neurological process, a survival mechanism, a chemical equation, and until you master it internally, no external effort will ever suffice. This is why most men fail. They approach love as if it were a negotiation of words and intentions. They don't realize that the battlefield has always been internal, inside their nervous system, their emotional center, their ability to remain unshakable under subtle pressure. Her testing doesn't create chaos. Your panic does. Your instability does. Your failure to embody calm, consistency, and high value does. Brother, accept this. The game is biological, not logical. The rules were set long before Instagram, dating apps, or modern culture existed. The battlefield is within you. And until you understand this bitter truth, until you confront the uncomfortable reality of attraction, respect, and emotional dominance, you will continue to fail silently, every day, in ways most men never even notice. Brother, now comes the part that separates the men who fail silently from the men who command respect without saying a word. This is the solution framework, the blueprint to pass her tests without manipulation, without aggression, and without losing your center. First, understand this fundamental principle. Her tests are not personal attacks, they are probes into your nervous system. Stop reacting to them with words, explanations, or panic. Your emotional state, not your logic, is what she is measuring. Your calmness is the signal. Your overreaction is the casualty. Here's how you do it. Stop reacting. Start observing. Observe her behavior as data, not as drama. When she withdraws, teases, or provokes, do not chase. Do not justify. Watch silently, process internally, and maintain composure. Your calm presence alone communicates dominance, stability, and high value. Ground your breath before speech. Your nervous system controls the battlefield. When you feel the impulse to react, take a deliberate breath. Center yourself. Speak from calmness, not panic. Her subconscious registers steadiness instantly. One man's composed exhale outweighs 1,000 words. Demonstrate, don't explain. Actions are the language her brain understands. Show consistency through your behavior. If she tests your priorities, respond with alignment, not defense. If she provokes jealousy, maintain composure, not outrage. Stop over-explaining your behavior as the proof she's seeking. Detach validation from outcome. Her approval is not the measure of your value. Your stability is. When she tests, you do not chase validation. You provide an unshakable emotional center. This detachment signals high value, security, and dominance, exactly what her subconscious craves. Reframe tests as opportunities. Every withdrawal, every tease, every subtle provocation is an opportunity to demonstrate emotional mastery. Each test is a mirror, reflecting your internal state. Pass silently, remain calm, and her subconscious will reward you with respect, attraction, and trust. Case study. A man I observed faced repeated cold shoulder tests from his partner. Most men would have panicked, over-explained, and begged. He didn't. He stayed grounded, focused on his own goals, and allowed the silence to exist. Within days, her behavior shifted. Warmth returned, respect deepened, and attraction strengthened, all without a single word of justification. The tests lost power the moment he mastered himself. Brother, remember this mantra. Her storm is not the enemy, it is the mirror. Your calm is your weapon, your center is your fortress. Her tests do not determine your value, your reaction does. Master your system, and the battlefield itself becomes neutralized. Fail to master it, and you will continue to lose silently, every day, in ways society will never acknowledge. This is the truth that nobody will tell you. The solution isn't external. It isn't words, gifts, or logic. It is mastery of your own emotions, your own nervous system, and your own center. Stand unshakable, and the tests lose all meaning. React, and you become a casualty in a war you didn't even know you were fighting. Brother, the choice is yours. Remain reactive, and accept the invisible collapse, or rise. Master your center, and finally pass every test without a single word. Because in the end, mastering her was never the goal. Mastering yourself was the victory all along. And once you do, the game ends.